Hello, everyone, and welcome back to This Day in History, our nightly look back at a specific day in history, where we take a look back at the events of that day, the historic context in which they took place, and the historic ramifications of those events. We also take a look at some people that were born on that day and some people that died on the day. As always, if you have not yet, please hit that subscribe button, the bell notification icon to be alerted anytime I post new content, and tell a friend. And without any further ado, this day in history, April the 6th. And on this day, in 1973, the American League began using the DH. This is one of the worst rules ever implemented in the history of baseball. Changed my mind. It's just awful. Not. It doesn't always have to be the pitcher. It has to be a position player. But 99 times out of 100, it is the pitcher in the American League. That becomes the DH. The American League, thankfully, is the only league in Major League Baseball that uses this. But many other leagues around the world use a variant of the DH rule or outright use it. It gets a little trickier when you get into minor league baseball, as you may have a American League team and a National League team in the same division or league. Generally, though, in AAA ball, the teams try to, at most, mimic the rules that their big league counterparts use. There is talk that Rob Manafort, the worst commissioner in the history of Major League Baseball, is planning to implement this rule in the National League, possibly as soon as the 2022 season. I can only hope that that attempt is thwarted and that Rob Manafort does what should have been done a long time ago and ends the rule in the American League. This is just a terrible, terrible rule. I think that taking the bat out of the hand of the pitcher or a position player is just, it ruins baseball. Baseball is special. Everyone plays defense and everyone plays offense. I think that it also shows a lack of faith in the pitcher's ability to hit. I know that pitchers don't get a lot of love on the base path, but that also, in my mind, takes some strategic options away. Managers in the American League also will rotate players into the DH. There's some people that believe, hey, it allows a player to continue his career. Very few players that play the DH position get 400 plate appearances. And it's used sometimes to bring an injured player back slowly. And I get those arguments. But I am absolutely opposed to the designated hitter rule. Just a terrible rule. Births that occurred on this day. Bret Boone in 1969 in El Cajon, California. He was a 13-year MLB journeyman. He was a three-time MLB All-Star, a four-time Gold Glove winner, and a two-time Silver Slugger winner. And in this 2001 season, he led the American League in RBIs. His father, Bob Boone, was a player and manager in Major League Baseball, and his grandfather, Ray Boone, was also a Major League Baseball player as well. His brother, Aaron, is the current manager of the New York Yankees and was also a former MLB player as well. He is the first third-generation player in Major League Baseball history. So, Bret Boone, born on this day in 1969 in California. Some deaths that occurred on this day. In 2003, in Iraq, David Bloom died at the age of 39. Bloom, of course, was a journalist for NBC News. And prior to serving as a war correspondent in Iraq, he served during the Clinton administration as a White House correspondent. And during his career, worked at a local television station in Wisconsin, Kansas, and also in Miami, covering Hurricane Andrew for the NBC affiliate in Miami. He was also a national correspondent for NBC as well. At the time of his death, he was the co-anchor of Weekend Today with Soledad O'Brien. He died of deep vein thrombosis, which became a pulmonary embolism. And that was caused by the cramped conditions he was working in Iraq. He was traveling in what they called the Bloommobile, which was a very high-tech and advanced vehicle that would allow him to broadcast round the clock from the battlefield. And he was one of the correspondents in the early days of the Iraq War that was praised for his reporting from the battle scene. I remember there was a lot of debate at the time over the news networks using the phrase embedded with the troops instead of reporting from the front lines. There was some people on the progressive side of the political spectrum that kind of opposed that moniker of that phraseology. And Bloom won high praise from all sides for his reporting from Iraq in the early days. So it's a very sad event that he died covering the war, and is remembered on a plaque of journalists who gave their life in the line of duty because of the circumstances leading up to his death. So David Bloom dies in Iraq on this day in 2003. And that is all for today. I will see you all back here tomorrow.